Good morning, good morning. It's another day, another day. Um, Today, I'm going to show you how to dye. I wanted to, got some little fluff on these things. I'm going to show you so far the dyeing process. Oh, and I can actually show you that little spot too. This is our dyeing so far. This is a mixture of colors that will never be recreated. So if you fancy these are $30 a skein. There are some pastel bits inside it. I'm going to reskein these, so I'll show you what they look like when they're caked up so that you can get an idea. This is very much a washy rainbow, and I believe this is the second batch I've done this color, but clearly I'm enamored because it kind of looks like a stained glass window, although I haven't named this batch yet. So that's one color that is going to remain unchanged. I also have a purple passion, dark and light varieties of purple. Again, another spot. I'm going to work on this today. We have honey, a golden yellow color. And then we have just a single skein that I got overzealous with. I need to keep you tilted to me. I got overzealous with, and it has some undyed spots as well. So, and part of it is I'm using these zip strips to anchor some more, and I need to not use them. Or when I'm dyeing them, I really need to examine the pot and keep flipping them a bit more. I did take care of it with the green, and these I've only dipped in. I've only done 2 runs in the bath. And so what's going to happen today is this is going to get a third bath while I show you how to dye. So we're going to mix up, I have a little bit of dye left, but I'm also going to mix up another bottle to show you how I mix my dye. I'm going to talk to you about pre-soak and take you along for a little re-dyeing of this color. But what I'm about to tell you is the same instructions for any color you want to dye your yarn. In addition to that, changing hands. In addition to that, so these instructions apply for all, but I also am doing this so that you realize that, so say you dye something and you don't love the color that you get, you can dye it again. You know I'm not going to get back to white, but I can over-dye this with black. I can over-dye this with any number of colors. And in fact, I do have black. Should we do black today and see what I get? I've not done black yet. Maybe we'll do that. I'm going to try and get black yarn. I need some black yarn anyway. All right, so this will probably be several snippets of videos. And I'll see you in a minute, and I'll show you how we plunge this in the water. Okay, this is my soaking setup. I have just a little bucket, and that's where I transfer my yarn to the electric frying pan. I have a tote of water, and this is just water out of my hose, and this is just a tote that you store stuff in, inexpensive, and I'm going to soak this for a while until it's very saturated. Make sure it's nice and deep. Alright, so I've soaked this in the tote, and I'm also sliding the zip strips down to get off of this undyed bit, just so that I can get that. Now I'm going to grab my bucket and move over to my electric frying pan. Alright, yarn, electric frying pan. And I reuse the water in these things, unless I'm concerned that the yarn hasn't taken up all the dye. It takes up all the dye, and you can spoon the water and see how clear it is. So there is definitely an ability to recycle water in these frying pans and not use too much. Don't let anybody tell you that the dye process is wasteful of water, because it is not. All right, we're gonna mix up some dye. So I use, let's turn you around. I use squeezy bottles, and I'm gonna show you my setup here. So good quality filtering mask. You're about to mess with chemistry. The powder is toxic. Do not breathe it in. Don't get it on your hands. Put on your rubber gloves. Put on your mask. Alrighty, we had a little snafu on the recording front. In fact, when I showed you how to mix the dye, the person who was manning my camera, because it's a two-handed operation, forgot to hit the start button. So I am harvesting one of the purple passions that has just the tiniest bit of underdyed underneath where the zip strips are, because I used zip strips, but they were a little short. But see that white right there? Although I normally would have kept it because I kind of like it, I'm going to overdye this in a little bit of some black dye that I mixed up, and then I'm going to mix some more purple. I had a little chat with Laura, the other dyer that we have in the shop who does blazing fibers, and she told me that for purples there is a benefit to mixing your citric acid with water and pouring it in after you put your yarn into the dye bath, and therefore the color sets at a higher temperature because the citric acid makes the color soak in, as I understand the science of this, and that'll get me a more vibrant purple. Now, when this is wet, this is a very vibrant purple, but when it's not wet, it dulls down a little more than I'd like. So here's the plan, because I am not your scientific dyer. I'm a very artsy-fartsy, let's mess about and see what we get, which I enjoy, and that's why I'm liking this so much. So what I'm going to do is, see this mess on my table from the black? I'm going to rub that purple yarn in the black. There's some purple mess, there's some black mess. I'm going to put on my gloves. Well, I'm going to put on a glove because holding this video sideways, because that's what I should be doing, you're going to get one heck of a morning coffee with Tina today. And I'm going to pull this out, try to squeeze it one-handed, and then I'm going to just rub it on the table. So let me move my second glove. I'm going to need that glove in a minute. It's time to clean off the table. And I'm going to clean off the table with the yarn. I'm going to move it around. And I know for a fact that Teresa Ruche, because I have taken dye classes from her, she has done exactly this with some of the most gorgeous yarns you've ever seen in your life. So this is what we're going to do. Now, I'm trying to, with these purples, stick to mostly purples and close neighbors thereof. There. So that is the wipe job. Okay. Now I'm going to move this into my dye bath, which is here. And this is exhausted. There's a little bit of black left in this, but it's mostly exhausted. And I'm going to mix up some more purple. The goal being getting some of that lighter bits dyed up. I've moved my zip strips off of the area that didn't work so well. And one-handed, I'm telling you what, this is a tough job. I'm going to pull out my purple dye. Now I have a whole bunch more dyes at home. Let's see what we got here. We have red. This is not the purple bag. I just brought a smattering. Thank you, Kathy Cashmere, for sharing your wealth with me. Purple, where are you? Do you guys see the purple? Boy, it's interesting. I brought a lot of red with me. I brought a lot of red down here, and oh, there it is. It's a berry purple. Now I am useless with this. All right, I'm going to put you down for a minute. Enjoy this interlude. All right, off camera, because I had to hold this myself. I've mixed just some random amount of the royal blue and the orchid into the squirt bottle, and we're just going to squirt this, especially on the light. It looks like this is going to be a much bluer purple than what I've already done. So, magical mystery trial. Now the one problem is every time I mix up dye, I make too much for what I'm working on, and then I end up having leftovers. This is the last skein that I'm going to dye today, on this trip. So it's all going in. There. Done. All I'm going to have to do is clean out the bottles. Alright. This one's probably going to be a very blue purple. Now, let's see what we have here. There. It looks like we have some blue purple. Okay. There it is. We're going to put the lid on. Put the lid on. And again, reheat it to boiling. Or just under boiling. Purple. Oh, I haven't put the citric acid in yet. So, I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to turn you off, and I'm going to get ready with the citric acid. Hang on. Tina plays with chemistry again. Tina, who has no formal training in chemistry, plays with chemistry again. I have now mixed the dye into the bath. It's looking very blue, but there are some undertones of purple. I've taken a dirty bottle and mixed in the citric acid, the rest of my citric acid, with water. So I am going to turn this on first and turn this back up to about 250, and let it come. I'm going to let it come to a boil, and then I'm going to pour the citric acid, according to Laura, around the outside edge and see if this strikes darker. Interesting experiment. And Laura and I were talking, and we believe that we're going to do some side-by-side chemistry dye experiments when I get home this summer. So let's hope we can pull that off. Definitely leave a comment below if you'd like to see chemistry Laura plays with sloppy dye Tina to have fun and to see what experiments we can do and what variables we can mess with. I'll check back in with you once we're boiling and show you what this looks like. Well, so we finished our day of dyeing yarn, and I have the final two colors. We had a little debacle with the last skein, some film footage that didn't actually get recorded. So I re-recorded it. I'm going to have so many pieces to put together for you tonight. So let's hope that it's not a choppy mess and a moving mess, because I'm on the phone again and the phone is woggly. However, the final yarn production this season down at my winter escape is green. That was the first thing we dyed. Then we did turquoise, which I don't have because Tony did that for herself. And then we had what I called Cathedral Window, which is this one. There. And then the next dye I did was Honey. And then the next dye after that was Purple Passion. It's got a little bit of rainbow in it as well. Purple Passion. And then we have another almost Cathedral Window. It's going to be interesting to actually reskein these because I have not yet. Because I think this also is a very effective Cathedral Window. So it may end up being Cathedral Window 2. All right, and then today, and this is the part that you've been along the ride for, I re-dyed. So, sorry, I'm going to make you dizzy. I re-dyed a maroon or a wine color or a berry color yarn with black. And here you have it. Again, I can't wait to reskein this because see the hints of berry that are still in there? Those are going to disperse themselves throughout the skein of yarn, and you're going to end up with mostly black, but little flecks of the berry color. And then finally, the final one where I re-videoed so that you could see the process, I did this blue with purple overdyed on top of it. Well, and this was purple. This was purple. In fact, this was one of these skeins. Let me show you. It was Purple Passion overdyed with blue, which is interesting to see what happened. So, the blue skein started out as this skein, and now it's this skein. There are bits of lighter areas still, and again, they're going to fleck throughout if I reskein this, when I reskein this. So, we have 20 skeins of yarn minus 3. So what is that? 17. I have 17 skeins of yarn I'll be going back. These will all be listed in the shop until I start working on the green, because I am still partial to that green. But if you want that green, get that green before I start knitting, because it stays in the store until I actually have some needles to put it on. So there you go. I hope you enjoy dyeing, or I hope you give dyeing a try. Just be aware that Laura and I talked today, and we're definitely planning on a dye workshop. It'll be a retreat, my backyard. We have 2 live classes coming in the next few months. I've got a needle felting class in May, early June, and then it's on the books. I just haven't checked it. And then July, we're planning on a dye day in my backyard, and you get to come into class. You'll go away with 2 skeins of yarn. And you can choose to make different ones, or you can choose to make the same one. And then you'll bring a lunch, so we'll have a lunch break. This is not a fast process. So I dyed these yarns today, pretty much all day. 2 sessions is what it took me in this entire day. So you can do 2 skeins, but you'll probably want to put them into 2 different pots. So we'll do like a purple pot, a red pot, whatever, different kinds of pots when we do our session. But 2 skeins of yarn and an all-day workshop, and you bring your knitting, and we will, while we wait for our slow process to happen, you just get to hang around and knit and sit on the patio and sit 6 feet apart, and when we're together with masks on, and we will have an enjoyable class, bringing back life. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'll have to think of it tonight. Bye.